Now that they've had their no kings shindig, will they finally come and reopen the government? I think so. So does Mike Johnson. So does President Trump. Got some indications this morning that it's the beginning of the end for Schumer and his little shutdown. We'll show you what they had to say just moments ago. Plus, speaking of that no kings rally, they're a violent bunch, aren't they? We'll show you exactly what they did and said at their protests and what they think of you. Plus, nothing says speaking on behalf of the proletariat and the people, the no king's voice of the people, Robert De Niro, a big, wealthy, arrogant Hollywood star. He's speaking for the people. We'll show you what he had to say. And finally, things are going from bad to worse for Democrats in Virginia. Really bad stuff. And it's all about race because they're racists. All that and a whole lot more coming up right now. Happy Monday. My name's Larry O'Connor, and you can call me Larry. It's really orange, this shirt is. Wow. Didn't notice quite how orange it was until I checked my monitor, and it's really orange. Happy Monday, everybody. Thanks for watching, and thanks for liking our video. In fact, if you all just move your hand a little bit over to that like button right now and give us the thumbs up, you're going to grow our audience for the live stream and our live chat, but you'll also build our audience and our momentum so that more people get to experience what you already know and love. I wish there was a love button, but right now we'll just have to settle for like. Thank you for that, and thank you for subscribing to what we really, really put a lot of thought and heart into, this here Larry show. Folks, there is a war happening right now, and it's probably not where you think. It's in your gut, a battle between good and bad bacteria that determines your health and your overall quality of life. Kimchi is a traditional Korean food used for over 2,000 years for its remarkable health benefits. Kimchi 1 from Brightcore Nutrition is the fermented superfood your body needs to arm the good guys with the right weapons to defeat the bad actors once and for all. All health starts in the gut. You ask any doctor, and they'll tell you that. Putting the right fermented superfood in your gut improves every aspect of your health, your heart, your brain, even the quality of your skin and the growth of your hair. Containing over 900 strains of beneficial bacteria in each little capsule, Kimchi 1 supports healthy digestion, fortifies your immune system, and helps detoxify your body. Kimchi has also been known to reduce risk of obesity, promote smaller waistlines by curbing appetite, and naturally boosting your metabolism. Kimchi 1 is all natural, non-GMO, dairy-free, gluten-free, 100% made in the United States of America. Today, you can get an exclusive offer by going to mybrightcore.com/Larry. Just use the code Larry. You get 25% off your entire order, but that ain't enough. Let's double up on this, shall we? You want a better deal? You call my friends at Brightcore for up to 50% off your order and free shipping. Give them a call now. It's 888-462-4779. All right, just moments ago, we got an indication that this government shutdown might be coming to an end. Take a look over on CNBC. It was the chief economic advisor to President Trump, Denny Hassert. Take a look. Oh, Kevin Hassert. Excuse me, Kevin. See, I've got a brother, Kevin. I've also got a brother, Dennis. And so I mix them up sometimes. Kevin Hassert.
First of all, the president has been very active throughout this process, but it's also his position that this is a thing that the Senate needs to work out. A lot of our friends in the Senate have said that it was just bad optics for Democrats to open the government before the No Kings rally, and that now there's a shot that this week things will come together and very quickly the moderate Democrats will move forward and get us an open government, at which point we could negotiate whatever policies they want to negotiate with regular order. Now, I was very pleased to see that my friend Senator Shaheen from New Hampshire, a very sound-minded Democrat, came out and supported opening the government on Friday. So it means that there's sort of cracks in the Schumer armor. I think the Schumer shutdown is likely to end sometime this week. But I can tell you that if the story that we've been basically hearing from moderates that, look, we just can't do it in front of the No Kings rally, if that ends up not being true, then I think that the White House is going to have to look very closely, along with Russ Vought, at stronger measures that we could take to bring him to the table.
All right. So you heard that, right? we're told by moderates that they just weren't going to do this before the No Kings rally. It would make them look bad. Now that it's over, the grown-ups are back. We can work this out. And if not, Trump and Roosevelt are ready to take a hatchet to the federal workforce. All right, now, just moments after Kevin Hassett made that announcement on CNBC, we turn to Capitol Hill, the 10 a.m. press conference that Speaker Mike Johnson conducts. Take a listen to what he said.
And now that Chuck Schumer has had his spectacle, he's had his big protest against America, this is our plea. We're asking, and I think everybody in this room and everybody watching, listening to our voices this morning should be hoping that he is finally now ready to go to work and end this shutdown and stop inflicting pain on the American people. Republicans have been working. We are ready. We've been doing this. It's been over a month now. We passed a responsible short-term solution to keep the government open while we just simply finish our work to fund the government openly and transparently. And Republicans are completely united on that front. On the other side, Democrats can't even agree amongst themselves. You got different subgroups among them. You've got a few reasonable Democrats who know shutdowns hurt the people, and they've already voted for our bill. They want to keep the government open. Then you've got others desperate to prop up the failures of Obamacare with no reforms whatsoever to make the program more affordable. That's what we're fighting for. And you've got AOC calling for her own negotiations on live TV, and you've got Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries still unable to articulate what it is they need to reopen the government. It illustrates the point once again. This was never about a solution. It was about creating an issue. Now that Democrats have had their protest and publicity stunts, I just pray that they come to their senses and end this shutdown and reopen the government this week.
Now, you notice how they're sort of on message, as the kids like to say. But then Speaker Johnson went all in on Schumer and how he has pretty much mishandled this entire thing.
Chuck Schumer himself joined the spectacle in New York City. And it's interesting to note his activities there. He was standing side by side some of the most radical groups that maybe ever assembled on U.S. soil. They openly advertised as co-sponsors of the event in New York City the Communist Party USA, the Democrat Socialist of America, the Freedom Socialist Party, the Young Communist League of New York, many others. Do we need any further evidence? They're not hiding this. They're out in the open. They're not shy about it, because this is the core constituency of the modern Democratic Party.
That's true. It's hard to deny it at this point. I mean, look at who they're about to elect as their mayor in New York City. Of course, the Communist Party of America was there, and they were proud of it. And the Democrats were proud of it. Here's what's interesting, though. If you watched any of the No Kings protests over the weekend in all of these major cities and right here in Washington, D.C., did you notice one of the things that they weren't talking about much? They talked about Trump. They talked about Vance. They talked about racism. They talked about ICE. They talked about open borders. They talked about a lot of stuff. They didn't talk about the government shutdown. They didn't want to have anything to do with this government shutdown. They didn't say a damn thing about the government shutdown. Did you see Chuck Schumer go up there and say, "You're damn right, I shut down the government. Let's hear it for me"? No, they know this is a loser, and they want to clean this up as quickly as possible and get back to work. Trump, for his part, on Sunday was on with Maria Bartiromo, and he laid into Schumer and also laid down the threat. You heard it from Kevin Hassett there about what he and Roosevelt can do now that they have executive power, and Trump doubled down on that.
We're cutting Democrat programs that we didn't want because, I mean, they made one mistake. They didn't realize that gives me the right to cut programs that Republicans never wanted, giveaways, welfare programs, et cetera. And we're doing that, and we're cutting them permanently. We're cutting a $20 billion project that Schumer fought for 15 years to get, and I'm cutting the project. The project is going to be dead. It's pretty much dead right now.
Well, how significant will the layoffs be? Because now you've got a federal judge trying to stop you there as well, saying that any layoffs during a temporary shutdown is illegal.
These judges, I'm telling you, it's so terrible.
Yes, it is. Let's go back. We got more Johnson here, but I think this is the same clip. Let's see.
On the other side, Democrats can't even agree amongst themselves. You got different subgroups among them. You've got a few reasonable Democrats who know shutdowns hurt the people, and they've already voted for our bill. They want to keep the government open. Then you've got others desperate to prop up the failures of Obamacare with no reforms whatsoever to make the program more affordable. That's what we're fighting for.
Yeah, this is the same clip, isn't it, Kevin? Just a different angle? I think it is. All right. Meanwhile, yesterday on Meet the Press, something remarkable happened. This is Tim Kaine. Tim Kaine played the role of Tim Walz in the 2016 presidential election. It's basically the same character, same costume, same hair and makeup, as you can see. Tim Kaine, senator from Virginia, was confronted by Kristen Welker. It's an accidental occurrence of journalism. I don't know how this happened, everybody. We promise, and certainly NBC News promises, that it was a mistake and it'll probably never happen again. But let's enjoy it for a moment as Kristen Welker confronted Tim Kaine on his hypocrisy over government shutdowns.
You know, Senator, back in 2019, you made a similar argument during that shutdown that Republicans are making now. Republicans at the time were asking for more funding for a border wall. You said, let's reopen the government first. I want to play a little bit of what you had to say.
We first should reopen government. Why punish people who are applying for food stamps because the president is having a temper tantrum? Open government first.
You know, Senator, back.
Yeah, of course, when asked to explain his hypocrisy, his answer was, but Trump. That was about all he had. But good for Kristen Welker actually doing that. That's a rare occurrence. Back to Trump giving his opinion on how this is working out for Schumer and the Democrats.
The Democrats are kamikazes right now. They're kamikaze pilots right now. They have nothing going. They have no future. They have incompetent candidates. I mean, I looked at Crockett, Jasmine Crockett. She's a very low IQ person. She's polling okay in the Democrat Party. I can't even believe it. AOC I watched her the other day. It's like, you got to be kidding. This is not going to make our country great. And for us to have a communist mayor, it looks like we're going to in New York. He's not a socialist. He's a communist. And it'll be very interesting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. All right. I do like it. Whatever Trump says, it'll be interesting. You know that he thinks it'll be more than just interesting, actually. You know, a quick reminder, because you saw Tim Kaine there in the flashback to the 2019 government shutdown. Who was the president during that government shutdown? Oh, it was Barack Obama. And the government shutdown, which, again, was basically a refusal to fund the current government budget until certain demands were met. In this case, in 2019. My brain is scrambled right now. 2019 government shutdown was because the Republicans wanted to force funding for the border wall. Didn't work out. They ended up opening the government, and then Trump found some money within the Pentagon budget and used it for the border wall. It never got completed, and Biden opened up the gates anyway, so it didn't matter. That's 2019. Before that, the last government shutdown before that was in 2014. And Obama was president, and Republicans wanted to stall the implementation of Obamacare because if you liked your doctor, you were going to lose your doctor because we knew Obama had lied about it. If you liked your insurance, we knew you were going to lose your insurance because Obama had lied about it. And your health insurance and your healthcare costs were going to skyrocket because the Affordable Care Act did not make care affordable. We knew that. The media propped up Obama's lies until they couldn't anymore. And now they have admitted all of those things that we knew that Obama lied about. They are now admitting that we were right and they were wrong. But see, that was 15 years ago when they first voted for it. And it was 11 years ago when it was finally implemented. And the government shutdown tried to keep Obamacare from happening. Ironically, this current government shutdown is also based on Obamacare because Democrats are demanding more tax dollars to make Obamacare look like it fixed something when it's actually broken. But here's the important thing to remember about that 2014 government shutdown. When Barack Obama was president, what did he do? What did he do? Especially in Washington, D.C., along the National Mall. The same place where the No Kings protest happened this weekend. You remember all of those crazy dirtbag, ugly, smelly, stinky leftists went out on the National Mall 2 days ago and they called Donald Trump a fascist, authoritarian king, right? And we don't want kings here. Well, let me remind you what Barack Obama did during the last government shutdown in that very same stretch of grass, the National Mall, when he was president.
Just to see the World War II memorial, only to be greeted by barricades.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm furious.
Members of Congress seem surprised. But when they vote to shut down the federal government, monuments do too.
If I can walk around here, why can't I walk down there? It makes no sense.
That's exactly what some are saying about negotiations on Capitol Hill.
I feel like our government is wasting our taxpayer money.
Onlookers applauded as the veterans broke past the barricade.
Well, it fills you with pride and makes you proud that you were part of it.
Lawmakers who came to greet the vets also laid blame for those barricades.
This is a spiteful decision that was ordered from the White House.
That's Steve King, congressman from Iowa. But yeah, Republican lawmakers came down the National Mall and moved the barricades out of the way. Those barricades are never there. The World War II monument is an open-air monument in the middle of the mall. Obama actually ordered the park police to go out of their way to set up barricades to keep people from going onto the monuments on the mall so that he could get a photo op saying, look at this government shutdown, and now World War II vets can't even see the memorial. And so Republicans went on there and they just knocked the barricades over. It was an insurrection, my friends, an insurrection. I show this to you to ask you, who's acting like a king here? Who was acting like a king? Hey, Donald Trump is the authoritarian fascist dictator king who during a government shutdown stepped aside and allowed this big massive protest on the National Mall so everyone could exercise their First Amendment rights. Meanwhile, Obama went out of his way to shut people out from the National Mall, the exact same spot during that government shutdown. There's no reasoning with these people except, see, the American people, you and I, reasonable normies out there, we see it. We get it. We know exactly who the good guys are and who's flailing about just trying to get any kind of headline and any kind of energy and momentum for their failing, destructive political movement. And we're not alone. CNN, believe it or not, had to tell the truth about the president's popularity right now during the government shutdown, during all of this negative publicity, during all of the propaganda that's been thrown at Republicans. How's he doing now? 3 weeks, 4 weeks into the shutdown.
Donald Trump shutdowns, net approval rating, we're talking 20 days into it. In 2018/2019, Donald Trump's net approval rating was already falling. The shutdown was eating into his popular support. It was down 3 points already at this particular point and would fall considerably more. It was very much on the decline. You come over to this side of the screen, this shutdown hasn't eaten into Donald Trump's support at all. His net approval rating is actually up a point in terms of his popular support. So the bottom line is this. The first shutdown during Trump's first term, 2018-2019, was hurting Donald Trump. This one is not hurting him at all. There's no real reason Donald Trump might say, at least when it comes to popular support, I want to get out of this shutdown.
What about the question of blame?
Yeah, okay. What about the question of blame? Okay, you see here, you see Donald Trump's net approval rating was down 2018 to 2019. You talk about 2025 as net approval rating is up. It comes down to the blame game, a game I loved to play when I was younger. Blame Trump for the shutdown a great deal. In 2018/2019, 61%, more than 3 in 5 Americans blame Trump a great deal for that particular shutdown. You come over to this side of the screen, look at this. It's a different world. It's a different world. 48% of Americans blame Trump a great deal for this particular shutdown. So it's more than 3 in 5 back in 2018/2019. It's less than half, a drop of 13 points. Again, it's no real wonder that Donald Trump at this point, looking at the shutdown, says, you know what, it's not actually harming me politically, in large part because he's getting less of the blame.
And he's doing things differently during this shutdown.
Yes, exactly right. You know, we talk about Donald Trump and you say, okay, he wants to be a consequential, influential president. Well, if the legislative process is basically freezed up, you know, on Capitol Hill, you may say, well, then he can't actually get legislation through. But that's not how Trump is governing in this term. We've spoken about this over and over and over again. He's using his pen.
And because he's using his pen and he's taking leadership and he's not sitting back letting the minions in the Senate and the House from the Democrat minority actually dictate policies and dictate the direction of the country, he actually ends up being more popular with the American people. So that's your update on the shutdown and the politics and the failures of Chuck Schumer and the Democrats. The question is, what's next? What's going to happen? And like I said last week, they got their rally out of the way. None of it had anything to do with the shutdown, but they were able to show that they were fighting something, someone. They got all their donations. They got all their QR codes out there so that people could give them money, and they got all of their email addresses so they can go back and solicit them. And now, quietly, probably by Friday, you'll see it reopened again, and we'll be just right back to normal. Well, such as it is. Buy gold and get free silver. Doesn't that sound like a good deal? Of course it does. Who doesn't want free silver? Every $5,000 purchased from Birch Gold this month in advance of Veterans Day is going to end up with a Birch Gold sending you a free patriotic silver round that commemorates the Gadsden and American flags. You see them both there? That's right, the Gadsden flag. Don't tread on me. Gold is up over 40% since the beginning of the year. Birch Gold can help you own it by converting an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. Plus, they're going to send you free silver, honoring our veterans on qualifying purchases. And if you're a current or former member of the military, first of all, thank you. God bless you and your family. Secondly, Birch Gold has a special offer just for you. They're waiving custodial fees for the first year on investments of any amount. Birch Gold, they've got an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. They've got tens of thousands of happy customers, many of which are, you, my viewers and listeners. I encourage you to find out how you can diversify your savings into gold. Text my name, Larry, L-A-R-R-Y, to the number 989898. Get a free info kit and to claim your eligibility for free silver on qualifying purchases before the end of the month. Again, text my name, Larry, to 989898. Do it today. So Speaker Mike Johnson showed up on This Week. Jonathan Karl had the anchor desk, and, well, he was asked about the No Kings March and about how Trump was a horrible dictator and a monarch, and didn't we fight a revolution for this? And, well, Speaker Johnson, he handled himself quite well, I think.
I'm joined now by the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, right here in the studio. Speaker Johnson, thank you for joining us.
Glad to be with you. Thanks.
So let's start with the No Kings rallies. You called these Hate America rallies. What do you mean by that?
Well, that collection of folks that I listed were certainly part of it. We congratulate them on a apparently violent free speech exercise. I was a First Amendment lawyer for 20 years. We defend that right. But the irony of the message is pretty clear for everyone. If President Trump was a king, the government would be open right now. If President Trump was a king, they would not have been able to engage in that free speech exercise out on the mall, by the way, which was open because President Trump hasn't closed it. In the last shutdown, 2013 era, President Obama closed the National Mall, it closed all the national parks, didn't allow people to engage in all this. So, I mean, they needed a stunt, they needed a show. Chuck Schumer needs cover right now. He's closed the government down because he needs political cover, and this was a part of it.
That's right. If you're Trump right now and you're sitting in the Oval Office, I mean, other than all of the trappings and the gold that he's put on there, you know, the extra gold and stuff that's all over the Oval Office and the various trappings of office, he probably sits around saying, well, if I were a king, I got to tell you, this is like the worst monarchy ever. You know, he's got to deal with people like Ilhan Omar and Bernie Sanders, the spittle flying sort of dandruff all over his 20-year-old suit socialist, standing in the way of him implementing his agenda. I mean, Trump's got to be like, what kind of king is this? If they're going to call me a king, at least let me be a king and just rule with an iron fist and do whatever I want. Instead, I got to kowtow to people like Nancy Pelosi. Worst monarchy ever. And he made that point on Air Force One last night, flying back from West Palm Beach, Florida.
What's your response to the protests over the weekend, the No Kings protests?
I think it's a joke. I looked at the people. They're not representative of this country. And I looked at all the brand new signs paid for, I guess it was paid for by Soros and other radical left lunatics. It looks like it was. We're checking it out. The demonstrations were very small, very ineffective. And the people were whacked out. When you look at those people, those are not representative of the people of our country.
Mr. President, besides San Francisco...
And by the way, I'm not a king. I'm not a king. I work my ass off to make our country great. That's all it is. I'm not a king at all.
That's right. He just got back from London. He saw what a king looks like, right? Come on. To be a king, you got to be old, doddering, wear a crown, have a really, really plain, if not homely looking wife, live in a big, ugly building in the middle of London, drink tea, and get a lot of rest. Catch up on golf if you want. Really catch up on your sleep. And complain about architecture. Okay, that's the one thing he's got in common with Charles. They both hate modern architecture. Other than that, no king. And by the way, I got to push. And listen, this is why you come here. You know that I'm going to be honest. I'm going to tell it like it is. When Trump is wrong about something, I got to point it out. Hey, he's just saying that the people out there don't represent the majority of Americans. The people in the No Kings rally, they're the fringe. Excuse me, President Trump. But this guy is not fringe. But you talk about representing the proletariat, the man of the people, the hoi polloi, the great unwashed. You want a spokesman for them, someone who's going to be out there at the No Kings March? You go right to the top. You go to Robert De Niro, gajillionaire, pampered Hollywood actor who sometimes even has to memorize all his lines if one of his takes goes longer than about 45 seconds. Now that I tell you, that's the great unwatched. That's a man of the people. And MSNBC, they demanded to have Robert De Niro represent you and me and the rest of us who don't have a voice.
Trying to signal to the people they reach, and I'm certainly not reaching those people on this program, but maybe through little sound bites and this and that, and the internet and so on. They're trying to they're used to seeing Trump do his stuff, and they talk and they listen, and that's the truth to them because they don't listen to anything else except somewhere way out in the Midwest, somewhere out out west, in certain places, the rural places. That's the truth because he gets the airtime, and I think that we need more airtime, just more push against, and not. I wish that you can't do this in some ways, but that the news media could find ways to kind of ignore or tamp down nonsense from Trump. It's just total nonsense. But those people out there listen to it and assume if it can be on the air and it's out there, it's the truth.
Yeah, so all you stupid idiots in the Midwest, you know who you are. You're the people who buy tickets to his movies because you think he's funny in Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers and all these other movies. And you made him rich and famous and wealthy. Yeah, you people, you're the ones. You see something on news and you think it's true, he says on a cable news show. And then suggests, the real problem here is that the media is actually reporting what Trump says. You got to figure out a way to not tell the people what he says because they might hear him and agree with him. That's a problem. So let me just get this straight. One of the guys who's out there celebrating the No Kings movement wants journalists and the free press in America to ignore our duly elected president, go over his head, and keep what he's saying from the American people, lest they agree with him. Because he's afraid of a totalitarian regime. By the way, he's not alone. Democrat Congresswoman Gwen Moore actually took it one step further. Wait till you see this. Again, listen first, and then I'll comment.
Well, I appreciate CNN, but I'll tell you, Republicans own most of the media. They control Fox News and X or Meta, whatever you call it. Right now the president has purchased or allowed his allies to purchase TikTok. We are hard pressed to get our message out.
Sometimes I'm speechless. So Republicans own the media. The example, Fox News and X. And by the way, Elon Musk is not a Republican. That's it. By the way, she's leaving some things out there. That's it. You own the media. We can't get our word out. Fox and X. All right, let's stipulate it for a second that those are Republican media platforms. That means you've got Facebook and Google and Yahoo and Instagram and YouTube and Snapchat. Oh, and Blue Sky. Let's not forget Blue Sky. And Microsoft. Okay. Oh, and Apple. But you're right. Republicans own the media. And what would you say? Fox? Oh, yeah, that's okay. Let's give you Fox, sure. And you have CBS and NBC and ABC and CNN and MSNBC and ESPN and Disney and every other movie studio in Hollywood and every recording label and every university and college campus and every newspaper. But you're right. Republicans own the media. Maybe we're just better at it than you are. Do you ever think of that? Or hear me out, maybe we tell the truth and the American people have actually learned to reject your lies. Maybe that's it. But you've got a Democrat congresswoman claiming that Republicans own the media and they can't get their word out. Then you've got Robert De Niro, a member of the Hollywood elite, who, when he goes on a movie set, every single person he works with that will speak out loud with him agree with him. Oh, trust me, there are grips and electricians, cameramen, and other tradesmen who work on movies who just bite their tongue, cash their paycheck, and think that Robert De Niro is a fool. But De Niro doesn't care. He doesn't bother to have a conversation with them. But here's a guy who represents the cultural elite in America. He's Robert De Niro, for God's sake, claiming that there's a messaging problem for the left when he can go onto any college campus and fill an auditorium and say whatever the hell he wants. He can make any movie, any TV show. He can go anywhere and get his messaging out without any resistance whatsoever. But try being a Republican and work in Hollywood. Just try it once, Bobby.
Hey, Larry.
This is the delusional world they live in. Yes, Kevin, sir. What do you got?
There's something I think that we might have missed from that original, the first De Niro clip that I want to revisit. Right at the beginning, what he says about MSNBC and their viewers is a tell.
Let me play it.
Mr. De Niro, trying to signal to the people they reach, and I'm certainly not reaching those people on this program, but maybe through little sound bites and this and that, and the internet.
Oh, yeah. So you say, yeah, I'm trying to reach, normal Midwestern American people, just everyday Americans. And they certainly don't watch this piece of crap. Is that what you meant?
Spot on. It's so good.
That's fantastic. And I'm sure the hosts of the show are like, please don't let on that our show is really just for about 10,000 people who live on the Upper West Side and the other 10,000 people who live in Northwest DC and Montgomery County, Maryland. Please don't let anyone else know that. That's our little secret. Okay. Yeah, that's great. Anyway, more from De Niro, actually. He was on a roll on this show that nobody watches.
I like what Letitia James is doing. She's fighting back. She's saying, "F you." I'm sorry. This is where we are. She's saying, this is it. I will not be taken down by this person. I am not afraid of him.
Yeah, we bleeped that, by the way. The F word was loud and clear there on MSNBC. Yeah, he loves Letitia James, the woman who is currently under federal federal indictment, right? She got indicted, a federal indictment for mortgage fraud. And it turns out the woman who was living in the house that she claimed was her primary residence to get the favorable mortgage terms ends up being a grandniece who was on the lam from the law in North Carolina, crossed state lines because she jumped her bail. And her sister, another grandniece of Letitia James, is an OnlyFans star. And that's who Robert De Niro is on the side of, so to speak. I wonder which side he's on exactly, left or right. More from De Niro. It's gold.
He will not. We see it. We see it all the time. He will not want to leave. He set it up with his. I guess he's the Goebbels of the cabinet. Stephen Miller, he's a Nazi. Yes, he is, and he's Jewish, and he should be ashamed of himself.
So, all the stupid that needs to be unpacked here. Should we just? All right, it's only 20 seconds. Let's break it down, shall we?
He will not. We see it all the time. He will not want to leave. He set it up with his. I guess he's the Goebbels of.
It's Goebbels. When these elitists come on the air and they want to lecture you, and remember the other clip, the unwashed in the Midwest who only watch certain cable stations and only watch certain streaming podcasts and stuff, and they, we got to get to them because they're so stupid. They don't understand this high-end elitist kind of intellectual conversation we have on MSNBC. I mean, I'll give you an example. That's Stephen Miller. He's the Goebbels to Donald Trump. It's Goebbels. It's Goebbels. Actors only know what they're. I'm surprised in the middle of this diatribe, Robert De Niro didn't say, line, excuse me, script girl, how do you pronounce this? What do you mean Goebbels? There's no R in there. What are you talking about? Then there's more.
Of the cabinet, Stephen Miller, he's a Nazi.
He's a Nazi. If there's anyone watching our program today that happens to be or knows someone who is a defamation lawyer, please reach out to Stephen Miller, because you just had Robert De Niro, who I'm pretty sure has some disposable income you can go after for damages. You just had Robert De Niro on a live cable network broadcast at least coast to coast, if not worldwide, with that little peacock. They're still owned by Comcast Universal. Again, Mr. Miller, deep pockets over there at Comcast Universal. You just had Robert De Niro call you a Nazi. And I'm pretty sure that as far as defamation goes, it's pretty lock solid here. Pretty easy for you to prove that you're not a Nazi, even though it's pretty hard to prove a negative. Even worse, pretty impossible for him to prove you are a Nazi. But he just called you a Nazi. Please, if you know a defamation lawyer, name and phone number in the comment section. We'll make sure Mr. Miller gets it.
Yes, he is. And he's Jewish, and he should be ashamed of himself.
He's not just a Nazi. He's a Jewish Nazi. Do you see what they do? Do you see the despicable, underhanded tactics that they use? And it's meant, obviously, to intimidate. Let me tell you something about Stephen Miller, who's a really good man, who I've known for many, many years. Stephen Miller just had to put his house up for sale. He lives in Arlington, Virginia, just across the Potomac from Washington, D.C. He's lived there for several years with his wife, whom he met in the first Trump administration. They have 3 children. But about 4 weeks ago, there were some radical awfuls. You know the awfuls, the affluent, white, female lunatics. I think the L stands for lunatic. Oh, liberal. I'm so sorry. It's an easy mistake to make. They all went outside of Stephen Miller's home in his little neighborhood and drew all these chalk messages on the park right across the street about how awful their neighbor is, about how he's kidnapping children and making veiled threats to their own children. Town Hall media employee Corey Inganamort caught them all on video. It went viral. 4 weeks later now, Stephen Miller is putting his house up for sale, and he has to move out of the neighborhood because he doesn't want to cause a ruckus for the other kids in the neighborhood and for other families in the neighborhood because of this garbage, because of this kind of garbage right here. Meanwhile, De Niro would be the first person to call the police and have you, wrestle to the ground on the sidewalk outside his Tribeca fortress in lower Manhattan if you look the wrong way at him. These people are disgusting. And they proved it when they went out marching in their bogus, well-funded, well-organized No Kings rally. Look at the kind of crap that they put on display proudly. Here's Seattle.
Who are you going to kill?
Nazis.
Who do you define as a Nazi?
What do you mean? It's pretty...
In this context, who's a Nazi?
Stephen Miller's a Nazi.
So you're gonna kill Stephen Miller?
If I had the chance, yeah, I would.
I don't know if that's something I'd say on camera, bro.
All right, two great things about that moment. Number one, Robert De Niro, that's what you did. You did that right there. That's your pal. That's your friend. That's someone who was inspired by you. But do you like the fact that the person who hates Nazis is hanging out with the woman who's wearing the Nazi rag on her head? Right? Celebrating the Palestinian Hamas Nazis over in the Middle East. Is there any sort of cognitive awareness of who they are and how completely nonsensical and broken their moral compass is, if they even had a moral compass in the first place? But this is what you see. This was your No Kings rally. The media showed you, overhead shots that were faked, by the way, in many cases, but they didn't go down and actually talk to people. They didn't walk the streets and ask them what they thought and why they were there and what was important to them. It took new media. It took new media like Town Hall over here, or any of the dailies, Daily Caller, Daily Wire, Daily Signal, Daily Kielbasa, whatever it is you like. Actually, now that I think about it, don't go to Daily Kielbasa. That website may be something really inappropriate. They would actually put a camera in front of these dirtbags and say, "Why are you here? What do you want to achieve?"
Who are you gonna kill?
Nazis.
Who do you define as a Nazi?
What do you mean? It's pretty.
In this context, who's a Nazi?
Stephen Miller's a Nazi.
So you're gonna kill Stephen Miller?
If I had the chance, yeah, I would.
I don't know if that's something I'd say on camera, bro.
Wow. More though. Let's swing over to Chicago, where a camera caught this woman.
Hey! You ever heard of Ozempic, you fat ass? Hey! You ever heard of Ozempic?
Ever heard of Ozempic? By now, I think we've all sadly become familiar with what that signal is. For those just listening on the audio of this podcast, it's a rather Rubenesque woman on the side of the road, making a finger symbol with her. A gun symbol with her fingers, and then shooting herself in the throat, saying "bang bang." That, of course, is meant to mock the assassination of Charlie Kirk. That's who these people are. They want you harmed. They want you dead, is what they want. Don't believe me? Well, also in Chicago, one of these dirtbags got a microphone.
You gotta grab a gun. We gotta turn around the guns on this fascist system. These ICE agents gotta get shot and wiped out. The state machinery, that's a full display right there, has to get wiped out.
Get a gun, turn the gun on the system. They got to get wiped out. ICE has got to get wiped. I mean, you heard it from his own lips.
You gotta grab a gun. We gotta turn around the guns on this fascist system. These ICE agents gotta get shot.
ICE agents got to get. I'm told January 6th was the worst day in American history, and then we can't have anything like that ever again in America. Was there anything on January 6th even remotely as disgusting and despicable and anti-American as this? And it was celebrated. It was celebrated by your pals in the legacy corporate media. It was also celebrated by people like David Brooks. He's the conservative columnist at the New York Times. David Brooks had fond things to say about the piece of human debris you and I just witnessed over the course of the last several videos.
And what does the future portend in terms of building this power of the people?
I think it went great. The key for me, and I'm a narcissist, so does it appeal to people like me? I'm more center right, and I'm not going to be appealed to by a rally that seems super lefty. But these seem just patriotic and American. And so I feel completely at home at them. And that's important to build a broad coalition. When you look at the social movements, and there have been, like, in the course of the 20th century, there were like 323 social movements. An authoritarian, maybe democratically elected, tried to concentrate power. So what happens is all the people in civic society rise up, the teachers, the students, the workers, the military in some cases. And so that's what we need. And my core argument is that MAGA is a movement. It's not just a set of policies. It's not mostly a set of policies. It's a culture. It offers membership. It offers identity. It offers a vision of what a man should look like, what a woman should look like. And you can't beat that with a tax credit. And so Chuck Schumer is not going to save us here. We need to shift the whole populist tide, which has been sweeping the world since 2013. And you need a movement. And I thought the No Kings rallies were an excellent advance.
Yeah, you know, he's not entirely wrong. It's true. There is a movement out there, and they do have a certain level of cultural identity. What was that? What a man should look like and a woman should look like? Well, sure. We think a man is the person who was born biologically with, you know, an outie between their legs. And a woman was born with the innie. And we don't think that you should use pharmaceuticals or even a surgical procedure to change those things, especially with children. Yeah, okay, I guess you're right. And by the way, if you've got one of those outies, you shouldn't be in the girls' room and locker room with the innies, because it needs to be a safe space for women. So sure, I guess that's true. We have a couple of different cultural differences, and it is a movement. Also, by the way, you want to talk about the cultural identity of the No Kings resistance that Arthur Brooks is celebrating? Did you just say he's center right? Yeah, he's center right. Okay. Well, here's the cultural identity that your new movement that you're embracing, Arthur Brooks. Here's who they are. This guy who just said to turn your guns on ICE agents and wipe out this system. And of course, this woman who's mocking the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And of course, let's not forget this dude or chick, or I'm not sure. I think it was a dude who's calling for the assassination of whoever he happens to think is a Nazi and then gets confused when he talks to a pro-Hamas terrorist sympathizer. You're right, David. Absolutely 100% a cultural movement. We don't deny it. The question is, whose side are you on? All right, last segment coming up here, but I'd love for you to give us a like on this video while we close things out. Please give us likes, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss an episode, because we got plenty more this week. We're just getting started. Democrats have a race problem. The race in particular is the governor's race in Virginia and the lieutenant governor's race in Virginia and the attorney general's race in Virginia. But surrounding those races is the fundamental race problem that they have. You see, Democrats, it appears, are racist. Let's first begin on MSNBC, as we always do, with, well, I would call her sort of your poster child for the awful movement, personified by Abigail Spanberger, the Democrat nominee in Virginia. They think that this is going to be the big base that's going to win elections for the next God knows how many decades for the Democrats, because all of their policies seem to be geared toward appealing to this woman, the affluent, white, female liberal. They think that's all they need. And, well, let's see what Jennifer Welch, the co-host of the I've Had It podcast. By the way, gentlemen, is there anything more appealing than an angry, white, liberal woman yelling, "I've had it" at you? Boy, you count me in as a subscriber. I'm going to download the hell out of that show. Take a listen to what she has to say, and then we'll discuss.
We haven't felt the same since Obama. And something broke in white people that had some racism. Some white people had some racism stewing in them in communities that I grew up in a totally red state. And something broke in them when there was a competent, wonderful Black president, maybe they disagreed with, that was eating off the china, sleeping in the bed at the White House. And I remember in Oklahoma City when Obama came, he was greeted with Confederate flags in Oklahoma City. So all of this was there. And you remember that John McCain debate where John tried to tone that woman down. It was all there. None of this surprises me. As a person that lived in a red state, I always looked for the federal government to temper all of this. And to Miles's point, now that this is mainstream, it's just devastating.
Okay, now remember what this woman just said, because we've got another clip from the exact same interview that is quite remarkable. But I just want to say one thing real fast. Some of us are old enough to remember the Tea Party movement of 2009, 2010. It doesn't take that long to remember that. It wasn't that long ago. And people rose up against the policies of the Obama administration, very similar to the No Kings movement, except without the violence and without the, without the smell and odor of the, pot and patchouli and all the other crap that you smell when you're in downtown Seattle and what have you. And we were told by people like this and by Chris Hayes and other people in the media that the only reason we were doing a Tea Party movement was because we were racist. Because we hated Barack Obama because of the color of his skin, and everything gets crystallized and boiled down to race, because that's what Democrats do. All they can do is see race. In fact, I'm wondering if there's any policy of Barack Obama that this woman could even articulate right now. Did you notice how she described Obama's presidency based on one thing? It was a black man, an articulate black man, by the way. I do love it when they do that. That's a tell. Living in the White House. Now, remember what she just said, because in the very same interview, she said this about the vice president's wife, a woman of color.
He is married to a woman of Indian descent.
Yes.
He has mixed race children.
Yes.
So to all of the MAGA voters out there, if this man will not defend his wife and will not defend his kids, do you think he gives a crap about you or anything to do with you?
I am speechless with the ignorance and bigotry and absolutely over the top offensive nature of this argument that this same woman who said something broke in America when these racist white Americans saw a black president living in the White House, their brains just don't function anymore. And then she immediately crystallizes Vice President J.D. Vance's relationship with his wife and his children, and dragging the children into the argument down to one thing, and that is his wife is of Indian descent and his children are mixed race children. And let me tell you something. As a man who is the father of 4 mixed race children, who has had to engage in political debates with liberals on a regular basis, this is what they do. They do this all the time. And there's nothing more despicable than what you just saw from this way. And nowhere in the interview does Chris Hayes say, wait a minute, weren't you the same woman who just a couple of minutes ago talked about how people's brains were broken the second they saw a black president in the White House? And now you're spewing this garbage because you're seeing a brown second lady of the United States living in the Naval Observatory with the vice president? These people are warped. They're absolutely 1,000% broken, but this is the perfect framing for the Democrats' problem in Virginia right now, because everything that's going on down there is about race. You see, Abigail Spanberger, the Democrat nominee, basically is that woman that you just saw, right? Your white, suburban, rich, way too well-educated woman who looks down her perfect nose at you and everyone else. She's running against Winsome Earl Sears, who is a Jamaican immigrant who came to this country with nothing in her pocket. And her father, I think, had about $12 in his pocket and made something for himself. And she was raised to love this country, and she became a Marine. And then she served in politics. She started a prison ministry in a men's prison in Virginia to preach the word to them and to help them out. She ran a homeless ministry as well. And she rose up to the level of lieutenant governor of the state of Virginia and now is on the brink of becoming the next governor of Virginia. And this Saturday at a James Madison University football game, she was heckled by an angry, white, bigoted, liberal Democrat. And the nature of the heckling when she was there to flip the coin at the opening kickoff, well, of course, it was all about race. It's at that moment when he realized he was being taped, but did you hear what he said at the beginning? Go back to Haiti, he screamed, because apparently all those Caribbeans look alike. By the way, imagine for a minute how long this guy must have been screaming racist garbage at Winsome Earl Sears until the person holding the smartphone finally decided to turn around and capture him on video. He must have been going on for at least a minute until this guy said, all right, I'm going to catch this. And catch him he did. Go back to Haiti, he says. By the way, Winsome Sears saw the video and responded. During this campaign, I've been called names no one should ever hear. I've watched people hold racist signs meant to shame me. Remember the woman outside an Arlington school board meeting who likened transgender policies to Jim Crow laws and said Winsome Sears couldn't use her drinking fountain because Winsome Sears thinks that girls should be protected from being exposed to naked men against their consent? Yeah. And because I have an R next to my name, few care. I'm no victim. Words won't break me, and they won't stop this campaign. We're going to win. She's got the momentum right now in this race. And Democrats, they can't shake their racist past. You see it in Abigail Spanberger's ads, constantly depicting Winsome Sears as an angry, ferocious, screaming black woman because it preys on people's fears and their stereotypes. That guy, by the way, pretty easy to recognize who he was, and people figured it out. His political contributions, exactly what you'd expect. Act Blue, Kane for Virginia, Wexton for Congress, Jennifer Wexton out in the 10th Congressional District. He's from Centerville, Virginia. It's exactly what you'd expect. This is who the Democrats are. Like I said, they have a race problem, and that race problem is now filtering down into the political races they're engaged in. You know, of course, about Jay Jones. He's the attorney general candidate who fantasized about murdering Republicans. Worse, though, the reason he fantasized about murdering Republicans was because he wanted to bend them to his political agenda. And he believed the best way to get them to acquiesce is if they had to hold their dead children in their arms. That's Jay Jones, who, by the way, happens to be black. And that's part of this race problem. I'll explain in a second. But first, here's Tim Kaine explaining how he stands by his man, Jay Jones.
Democratic candidate for Attorney General Jay Jones is facing bipartisan backlash after text messages he sent were publicized. I'm going to let folks know what they said. He effectively said that the top Republican lawmaker in the state should, quote, get 2 bullets to the head. He was asked about that during a debate this past week. Here's how he responded. Look.
I am ashamed. I am embarrassed. And I'm sorry. If you were truly sorry, you would not be running for this office.
Senator, should Jay Jones drop out of this race?
No, he shouldn't, Kristen. Those texts, private texts with a colleague, cannot be defended. They cannot be defended. But Jay Jones has apologized earnestly. The Republicans knew about these texts for years. They waited until the ballot was printed, and they waited until hundreds of thousands of people had already voted beginning on September 19th. The voters will make up their mind about these texts.
Let's pause there for a quick second. I'm going to let you finish, Tim Kaine, because I do like it when you hang yourself from your own news. But think about the logic here for a second. First of all, he seems to be angrier at Republicans for knowing about this, but only revealing it now instead of before, when we could maybe take him off the ballot and put somebody else in there, just like we did with Kamala Harris. He won't say that part out loud. But secondly, did you think about the logic for a second there? They waited until thousands, tens of thousands of people had already voted. Dude, if Republicans were timing some sort of dirty trick October surprise on this thing, don't you think they would have revealed it before people voted? You imbecile. Honestly, he makes Tim Walz look like a freaking Mensa member. It's hard to tell them apart, actually. They're the same guy. They're the stereotypical middle-aged white liberal dude that people like Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris think will compliment them and make them more palatable to typical Americans. And boy, how'd that work out for you, Vice President Tim Kaine? Oh, that's right, you lost. But it worked out really well for Vice President Tim. Oh, no, he lost too. They got to find themselves some new Tims coming up in the next election. Okay, so he's stupid. But then he, of course, said, no, Jay Jones shouldn't drop out of the race. Why now? Why is he perfect to be Attorney General?
The voters have to make up their mind in our governor's race. The Republican gubernatorial candidate spoke about pro-choice activists and said, murder is murder and your time will come. The voters have to grapple with that. I've known Jay Jones for 25 years. I think this single text exchange that he had with a colleague was very out of character for him.
Hold on a second. Couple things. First of all, how do you know this is the only text exchange? If he was comfortable enough to text it, he texted a Republican. It was a Republican colleague, by the way, which is another thing. The fact that he sent this to a Republican colleague and kept doubling down and tripling down was meant as an intimidation tactic. He's sending the message to other Republicans. Yeah, this is what we think of you. Okay, number one. Number two, how do you know this is a single text exchange? If he's comfortable enough to do that in the first place, how do you know he hasn't done it before? Has anyone asked him that? Have you asked him that, Senator Kaine? Of course he hasn't. Did you also catch the fact that he's known him for 25 years? He keeps saying this over and over again, Tim Kaine. In all of these interviews, I've known Jay Jones for 25 years. Jay Jones is 36 years old. What the hell is Tim Kaine doing hanging out with an 11-year-old boy? Wait. I don't want the answer to that question. It's the last thing I want. I'm hoping that the actual answer to it is the fact that Jay Jones's parents are very well connected, very affluent, and very powerful politicians in Virginia. He's a Nepo baby. He inherited his political position. He's never had to fight for anything his entire life. He feels entitled, and that entitlement trickles down to him staying in this race after a scandal that would have ended anyone else's political career. And he has every right to feel entitled because he's got people like Tim Kaine backing him up.
And that's why I continue to support him.
Well, let me ask you this, Senator, because a lot of people look at this and I think they ask the question, if this were a Republican, would you be calling for him to drop out of the race?
Absolutely not. It's directly equivalent to things that the Republican gubernatorial candidate has publicly said, not in private text. Murder is murder, and your time will come. She said that in a public meeting speaking about pro-choice activists.
By the way, Tim Kaine used to be pro-life. When he was trying to fool the voters of Virginia, when he ran for governor about, 70 years ago now, he ran as a pro-life Democrat. When he ran for Senate, he ran as a pro-life Democrat. It wasn't until Hillary Clinton wanted him to be the vice president of the United States that he suddenly found a newfound interest and adoration for killing unborn children. He's a Catholic, you know. He'll tell you the second he has the opportunity, Tim Kaine will. Just to put it in context, when Winsome Sears was defining the fact that abortion is murder, which objectively is the case, when she says your time will come, she didn't mean that people would get murdered because they're pro-choice or pro-abortion. She meant in a spiritual sense, in the, afterlife, at Judgment Day. If you are in favor of abortion, well, you've got some answering to do to our Lord. That's obviously what she meant. But Tim Kaine doesn't really live in these worlds anymore with scripture and biblical faith-based teaching. So it's complete nonsense to him. I mentioned that Democrats have a race problem, and race is specifically associated with this Jay Jones thing. And here's what I mean. You can hear the kind of things that they say about Winsome Sears. You heard the go back to Haiti comments. You see the ads that Spanberger's campaign has come out. They have nothing but hatred and vitriol to Winsome Sears because she's a black woman who dares to think independently and not toe the line and do what they think all black women are supposed to do and vote and think and support because, well, they're racist. You see, if you think a woman is supposed to vote and behave and believe a certain thing and do certain things because of the color of their skin, that's kind of the definition of racist. But it goes all the way back to Jay Jones here, because secretly the untold story here from the Tim Kaines of the world, the Abigail Spanbergers of the world, to all of the Democrats in Virginia who are rationalizing Jay Jones's behavior when they see the violent tendency that he obviously has in his little inner monologue as he's texting these threatening messages to his colleagues. Inside, Tim Kaine's thinking to himself, well, what do you expect? Right? I mean, that's how those people are. That's what's happening here. They have a lower standard for Jay Jones, and it's all rooted in their race problem. I assure you, if Jason Miyares, the Republican, Cuban-American Attorney General, had been caught with the exact same thing, this guy would be leading the parade with torches and hoods. Donald Trump was asked about the Jay Jones issue on that same flight up from West Palm Beach. He had a lot on his mind during this flight.
Jay Jones has repeatedly said that if he wins in Virginia, that he
Who
can't.
said what?
Jay Jones in Virginia said.
You mean the one that wanted to kill somebody's children and kill somebody? You mean the animal that wanted to kill somebody?
Yeah,
who should not be allowed to be running for that office?
Yeah, he said he can't wait to see you in court. I'm wondering if you have a response and if you're considering getting involved in that race.
Well, what is he saying?
He said in the debate on Thursday night that he can't wait to sue your administration and see you in court.
No, he's a third-rate intellect. He's a guy who I've never seen anybody say what he said, that he wanted to kill his opponent's children, he wanted to kill his opponent. No, I can't imagine anybody voting for Jay Jones. Look, you would think he's totally discredited. I would think he wouldn't even be allowed to do that. Anybody would be put in prison for what he said. So he can join the long list of attorney generals that have been suing and losing. But the people of this country want law, they want order, they want safety, they don't want to be mugged or raped or shot. And that's what we provide. We have tremendous numbers also. You see the crime numbers are coming way down.
Yeah, and he does make a good point. All these attorney generals like Jay Jones who are suing Donald Trump, they're suing him because he's enforcing the law. I don't know if that's a winning message in Virginia, but it might be. Honestly, I don't know. I pray that it's not, but I fear that there are enough Virginians with Trump derangement syndrome who will say, yeah, screw it. I'm voting for this guy just because he hates Trump. He was then asked about the governor's race. Here's Trump.
The lieutenant
Well,
governor.
I think the Republican candidate is very good, and I think she should win because the Democrat candidate's a disaster. So I haven't been too much involved in Virginia. I love the state. I did very well in the state. But I will tell you, I think the Republican candidate is excellent, and I think the Democrat candidate is a disaster. I mean, I watched her in the debate. She couldn't answer the most basic question. And, you know, a big thing with that race and also the race in New Jersey is going to be energy. Both of the Democrats are going to drive the energy prices through the roof. Through the roof. Your energy is going to double and triple. If the Republican gets elected, your energy is going to be coming down by 70, 80%. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, let me tell you something. And listen, there's a strange dynamic between Winsome Sears and any Republican running statewide in Virginia and the Trump campaign. Let's just face it, Virginia is not MAGA country. There's plenty of supporters of Donald Trump there, but mostly the policies. There's still issues with his personality, etc. Donald Trump is not going to be doing any rallies. He didn't do any for Glenn Youngkin, and Glenn Youngkin won. Glenn Youngkin didn't distance himself. He just didn't embrace Trump, but he does support Trump when he deserves support and was a great surrogate for Trump during the 2024 presidential election. Winsome Sears is sort of in the same situation. I get it. He's not going to be doing any rallies for Winsome Sears between now and Election Day, which is 2 weeks from tomorrow. But let me just say something to the Sears campaign, if they're listening. Don't underestimate this man's political knowledge and instincts and the way he understands the electorate. If 2 weeks out, Donald Trump is telling you that energy and the cost of energy and the policies that Abigail Spanberger brings to the table that will make your energy costs rise, if he thinks that's a major issue, please take that ball and run with it. He's offering you the thing. He's handing it off, and the blocking is done, and there's a lane to the end zone. Take it up right now. Spanberger's spending all of her time doing a Zohran Mamdani. Things are too expensive in Virginia. People want an affordability that I'm going to make things more affordable. She has no policies to make anything affordable. A governor can only do two things to make things affordable for the people who live in their state. Lower taxes and fees, which Abigail Spanberger will not do, and cut regulations that make things more expensive, like energy. And she won't do that either. She's incredibly vulnerable on that issue. In fact, a ton of the finances that Abigail Spanberger's raised, mostly out of state of Virginia, have come from environmental wacko groups. So, Winsome Earl Sears, please. I get it. You don't want to, be seen shoulder to shoulder with Trump in the final 2 weeks there. Fine. Don't worry about it. He just gave you a gift. Accept it. Run with it. He knows what he's doing. He's won a few elections now and again. By the way, this just in on this race in Virginia, speculation swirling that Virginia governor candidate Abigail Spanberger is panicking, and her internal polling shows the race with Winsome Sears much closer than expected after she announced an 11-day barnstorm across the state. Obama has been dragged in at the last minute. Uphill battle for Winsome Sears, but Eric Doherty, political observer and analyst, says he thinks Democrats are concerned a political violence AG candidate Jay Jones is causing issues. Get out there and vote. It's true. All the trend lines right now are with the Republican ticket from the bottom up. Miyares seems to have a comfortable lead over Jay Jones. Then you got Lieutenant Governor, and then you got the governor's race. And it is in grasp. 2 weeks from Election Day, and we're here for it. Make sure you watch every single day and then thereafter. Thank you guys for being part of our show today. A fun Monday and a busy one at that. I hope you guys had a great weekend. Don't forget to like and subscribe before you leave. And let's get to your super chats as soon as we can. Super chats are great. Stumble Boots, $2 super chat. You're cool too. And I love you, Clippy. Thank you for that. God's best friend, £5 super chat. You're hard pressed to get your words out because we are hard pressed to find your dead outlets.
De Niro. De Niro.
Oh, De Niro. Exactly. Thank you. Sorry. You know, the show, it's so long ago when we talked about De Niro. Handel is so hot right now. $5 super chat. Thank you, Handel. That's a new name. Or is it Handy? Or is it Handy? Oh, it's Handy. De Niro doesn't acknowledge that Big Tish did to Trump. We all saw it, though, and it helped him get elected. Thanks, Tish. Yeah, it's true. He supports Tish, even though Tish was a huge part of Trump winning the election. Thank you, Handy. Welcome aboard. Starch Manning with a $5 super chat. Can't spell hatred without red hat. Is that a MAGA thing?
I think you've got a hater.
All right, Starch. That's fine. Thanks for the $5 super chat. And keep watching. We'll flip you around. Logic and humor always wins. Psychological Projectionist with a £2 super chat. Did Bob call SM a N whilst being anti-Semitic? Wow. Bob De Niro called SM.
Stephen Miller.
Oh, Stephen Miller, a Nazi while being anti-Semitic. Got it. Yes, that's exactly what he did. Thank you. God, you see, this is what happens after a long day of broadcasting. This is the final minutes of my broadcast day, and my brain is mush during the super chat. Starch Manning. Oh, Starch is back for more. $5 super chat. MAGA is the party of free speech and limited government. Sure. Protest is patriotic, non-paid American. Well, we are the party of free speech because we aren't trying to shut anybody up, dude. Right? But it's the left. I mean, I'm sorry. Who was the victim of cancel culture? Who spearheaded cancel culture? Who likes to censor people and pound them off of social media platforms and silence dissent? I'm sorry. You don't think that we're the party of free speech? Where were you during COVID-19? Where were you during the pandemic? When people were raising questions about the science behind it? And what happened to them? Are you not paying attention? I'm guessing you're not. Like I said, Starch, stick with us. Stick with us. You'll learn more, and you're going to have a good time. Tea Party Man, more $5 super chat. I mean, cha-ching. I guess we'll take it. Tea Party movement, when Republicans pretended to care about the Constitution, free speech, and the budget, Trump largest budget of all time. Well, yeah, Trump's largest budget of all time, number one, came during the pandemic that the Chi-Coms wrought on us. And yes, because governors ended up shutting down their states and sending people home without a job, Trump said, well, we got to pay people. We got to do something to help them out. It's Biden who kept it going, and it's Republicans now who are trying to end all those subsidies that are still continuing. But the facts shouldn't get in the way of you trying to make a point that you failed to make. Thanks, Starch. Ball State alum with the $10 super chat. Stand up for democracy. I'm sure they are, as I'm sure that is their goal. Luckily, we are a constitutional representative republic. Yes, but we do choose our representatives with democratic means. And it's shocking to me that Donald Trump is considered a king when he literally runs for office every 4 years now for the last 12 years. And the only way he gets any power is if he wins and his party wins. That's not usually how kings operate. Thank you, Jeffrey, for that. Patrick with a 10-pound super chat. The woman mocking Charlie Kirk's death is an elementary school teacher in Chicago. That's been reported, still waiting for confirmation. The school took down their website when she was identified. Preach love, celebrate death, the real No Kings message. Yeah, it's true. I try to go to the website, and it sure looks like it's been dismantled. Although, to be fair, half the websites around the world are shut down right now because of the Amazon Web Services fiasco. So we don't know. We're still waiting for full reporting on that, Patrick, but it sure seems like that's the case. Thank you for that 10-pound super chat. Lady Cop with a $5 super chat. I'm so late. My bad, guess I will be on the replay crew. Have a great week. How could you not be here at noon live every day? I was here. I'm kidding. We love the people who watch on replay on demand as well, Lady Cop, and we love you because you're in uniform, and that's hot. All right, I'm getting a little warm now. Jeff Dupuy. Wait, it's Dupuy, right? Yeah, Pepe Le Pew. Jeff Dupuy Sr. with a $2 super show. Another wonderful show. Thanks, Larry and Kevin. Thank you, Jeff, and thank you for your epic beard. JD Weatherly, $4.99 super chat. Run it, Larry. What's he talking about? Run what?
I don't know, man. The show, the game, life.
Maybe he knows that I'm running the Marine Corps Marathon this Sunday. My first marathon of my life. And I'm ready. I'm kind of ready. I think I'm ready. My last training runs this last week, I ran my fastest ever 10K and my fastest ever 13.1. So I think I'm ready, but we'll see. Pray for me this Sunday. I've never done 26.2 before. Thank you for that super chat. Appreciate it, Weatherly. And Edward Emmer with a $10 super chat. We love you, Larry. You're the #1 must-watch for us every day. My wife, Angela, yells, Larry, when you come on. Thank you for the work you do. Edward, that's awesome. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate the super chat. We love what we do here, and we love our community that we've built. And to that end, don't forget to come back to the community tomorrow. Don't forget to share our videos. We had 3 segments today. Kevin's going to break them all down and put them out there as individual videos. If you liked any of them, share them on your social medias. Come back and like those as well. Doesn't cost you a damn thing, and you'll be helping us big time. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. In the meantime, my name is Larry O'Connor, and you can call me Larry.